Hi, guys. Welcome to Broke Teachers Travel. I'm Marnie.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're back. We have been out a little while because we had the holidays and we've been traveling.
We have traveled.
Yes. And we have been on an international trip and we are ready to share our experience with you guys.
But we also went on a trip to see our daughter for Christmas.
Yes, of course we did. We have to see both of our kiddos. That's just part of being a parent. Yep. But we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with the holidays, and I hope you guys had a great holiday season. I hope you had lots of fun and really enjoyed your family and friends and got some time to relax and unwind, because as teachers, that's important. We need that downtime so we can recharge our batteries. But we went on a pretty big trip. It was kind of like a honeymoon for us that we never really got to have because we got married when we were in college, and we had finals 2 days later. Yep. So we had to be back. So we cut it short, and we decided that at some point in our lives, we were going to take a really big trip, and we were going to go to Italy. And we did it.
Now, we've already been to Italy, me several times and Marnie a couple times.
Yes, but it's always been with students, and this was the first time we've traveled just the two of us.
And we still made it back.
We made it back, both of us, and it was so much fun. I think that was probably the best trip of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really think it was. It was so much fun. We started off, we based ourselves in Florence, which I think personally was a great decision to have a home base and then travel out from there.
Yeah, do day tours from there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it gave us the chance to do everything. I mean, we got to have a home base, but yet we got to see other places as well, which I really like. Yeah. I like having that home base. I don't know about you, but it makes me feel, I don't know, a little more grounded during the whole travel experience. I get to kind of relax and have a place to unwind every night, but yet I still get to go on the adventures.
Yeah, and you know that you unpack once, and so it's not like you're packing the next day, trying to get on another plane or trying to get on another bus or something. So, it is nice to do it like once.
Speaking of airplanes, we need to have a discussion. I adore Florence, Italy. I do not like their landing strip.
It really wasn't that bad.
It was, quote, limited. And the pilot says, prepare for landing because we have to brake quickly and harshly because the landing strip is limited. What that translates to is as soon as the wheels hit the ground, they slam on brakes and you go flying.
It was
intense.
It was a little challenging. And the only reason is that, when we flew from here to Atlanta and even Atlanta to Paris, it was very smooth.
Oh, yes.
It was very smooth landing on a very long runway.
Yes.
And this one was...
Well, I mean, it's an older airport.
Right.
I mean, I get it. It's in the middle of Florence. They don't have a lot of room to expand there, but...
They did hit the brakes pretty hard.
It was pretty intense,
And the funny thing was, when we were on that one, that particular flight, Marnie and my seats weren't together.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of up in the front. And as soon as that, didn't really bother me like it did her. But I know, how she feels about flying to begin with. And when we hit, I was like, ooh, I looked to make sure she was all right. Then I kind of eased down in my seat. I didn't want to get the look. So.
But okay. Flying's not that bad. It's the landing part that gets me. I love the actual flying. I mean, getting to see everything from that point of view is amazing. And we actually got to fly over the Alps, and they were covered in snow. And that may be, honestly, one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen.
Yeah, I looked over, and I'm trying to sleep, and then Marnie's like,
I'm taking pictures and videoing and everything. So we're going to include some of that in this video so you can see. But it was actually just gorgeous. It was so pretty to see all the snow and the mountains from that perspective. It was amazing. I really, really loved it.
Now, one of the things we talk about, broke teachers is always looking for the deal.
Yes.
And sometimes, unfortunately, you get what you pay for when you look for deals.
Oh, yes. You have to be careful.
You have to be careful. And then every now and then you run across a gym and you're like, whoa, that's really not what I was expecting.
Uh-huh. Which we kept running across all sorts of gyms the whole trip.
And, the biggest one, honestly, was the hotel we stayed in. And,
Yes.
I'm not sure what the normal rate going for.
I think it's well over 300 a night.
Well, I could promise you, Jeff Skipper paid nowhere close to that.
Well, I looked it up online, and it was over 300 a night. And it was so nice. We were based in the center of Old Florence, and we could walk absolutely everywhere. I don't think, other than a cab to and from the airport,
Right.
we walked everywhere.
That is,
Other than our day trips on a bus.
and when it was raining that one morning and we went to the...
Oh, yes, we did. It was actually really coming down that morning. It was not just like a light sprinkle or a light rain. It was pretty heavy rain.
And one of the things, just to mention from a packaging point is that oftentimes if, and again, you book something, you find a good deal, you book it through the airline. For example, with us, we use Delta and we booked the flight and the hotel together, and it was significant savings because how many nights were we there?
Oh, gracious. Was it 5 nights? I think it was 5 nights.
Five
Yeah.
nights. That for the hotel and the flight for both of us, it was around $1,800
Yeah.
for both of us. Okay, so international flight from Panama City Beach
To Atlanta, from Atlanta to Paris, and then Paris to Florence.
And so, I mean, you can't beat that. I mean,
No.
it's hard to travel from here to California for that much.
Oh, you can't even get a domestic flight anymore for less than several $100s. Yeah, I mean, honestly, international may be cheaper than flying domestic.
Well, sometimes it actually is, especially when it's in the off season and they want people to come there. Okay.
Yeah.
Other than, they want those hotels filled and things like that.
Yeah. Speaking of the off season, it was the off season. I felt like the crowds were so low.
Right.
And yes, it was chilly. Yes, it rained a few days because it tends to rain in January in Florence. But it didn't stop us from doing anything.
No, we did so much. And, we're going to talk about that in future videos.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe
we have
almost,
a lot of content
Right.
to share with you guys.
And it was so much fun.
It was. But I do love that hotel. It was absolutely amazing. It was the Mercure Firenze Centro.
And one of the things, even though it was in the middle of Florence, I mean, literally outside of our room, we were the street was about...
We were about a third of a mile from everything.
Right. And even though it was in the middle, we didn't hear sirens at night. We didn't hear anything. And so we're really happy about that. But and the rooms were comfortable, the showers,
super, super modern and not like your typical hotel that you find out a ways. Very Americanized, maybe, the hotel room itself.
And one of the things that was kind of interesting was that as we were leaving to go to the airport, we had an early flight. We were kind of sitting, and it wasn't raining. It was pretty comfortable, and we're looking, man, this is a really nice patio area. I can't believe
we didn't even know it was
didn't even know it till
there.
the last
Yeah.
day, but we'll go back, and I'm sure we'll stay there.
Oh,
again, so.
absolutely. The staff was fantastic.
And that's one of the things that will really make, especially international trips. Everyone there spoke English, and it's kind of, I'd say in my terrible Italian, you speak English, and they would say, of course, like, hey, everybody.
But that being said, always try to speak some of the
Right.
language because it's just the
Respectful,
nice thing.
you know.
Yeah, the nice thing to do.
And I could tell you that they were so helpful in so many ways.
Yes.
And that staff went above and beyond.
Yes, they did. They would give us directions. They called a cab for us when it was flooding down rain out there. Dinner recommendations. They helped us with everything, and they were just so nice. It was just unbelievable.
Now, they also did have American breakfast. For what we pay in America, it was a little more expensive, but, they had scrambled eggs, they had sausage, they had those
Yes.
things. And generally, when you're in those other countries, breakfast is a pastry and
Yes,
something.
the Italians don't eat a big breakfast. They grab a pastry and a latte or a cappuccino, and they go. You know, that's just not their lifestyle. Is a big breakfast. It's a big lunch and dinner.
And what we didn't eat in the hotel every day, but so they let us pick. And if we wanted scrambled eggs and sausage that morning, then
and that was mostly my fault because I am gluten free, and we were trying to get kind of a grasp on everything of where we could and couldn't eat, that type of thing. And that was a safe bet that first day.
And we'll talk later extensively about Italy and how they handle people that are gluten free. And
yes, it is amazing. I cannot wait to tell you.
I can't say allergies, right? Is that the word?
No, it is not an allergy.
All right, so.
No, but I mean, there are so many bonuses to staying in the middle of Florence too, like that.
One thing before we move on, one of the days, and we both had raincoats. And,
oh, yes.
And we had a cab coming, and the hotel guy said, "Hey, it's raining really hard." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, we're
fine. We're just running to the cab."
You know, and then going to a bus station, and he says, "Well, do you guys have an umbrella?" And I'm like,
For the day.
For the day. And I was like, "No." I said, "But we got these rain jackets." And he says, "Well, I have one." And so he went and gave us his umbrella.
Yes.
And so that night I returned it, and I said, "I really appreciate that." He says, "Well, I didn't need it today. Why wouldn't I give somebody something that they would need that I wouldn't?"
And that seems to be the Italian mentality. They are so hospitable. I love Italy. I love it. The people are so hospitable. They're so nice. They're so caring and just genuine.
Right.
I really love Italy.
Yeah, I'm going to move there. Just mention that. I may have mentioned that once or twice.
Maybe once or twice. He may have mentioned retiring there at some point.
And one of the things that you want to do is, find the locals.
Yes.
Always find people that, are locals that live in this area. Ask hey, do you live here? Do you commute in? Do you do any of those things?
And that's how we found our first restaurant.
Our first restaurant.
Yes.
And so there was a security guard, and we're just kind of looking, and I have this conversation. I'm trying to go in somewhere, and he says, "Well, you have to go around. That's the entrance." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I said, "Hey, my wife is gluten free. Do you know anywhere that they're gluten free? Have gluten free food?" And he says, "Well, that place right across from where I'm standing, that's one of my favorite restaurants." And he says, "Well, hold on for just a second." And he ran over there and asked, did they have gluten free?
And they had pasta.
Yeah, and so we ended up eating there, and it was just such a cool thing that the guy actually took time out of his job to, hey, we're going to try to help these guys. And,
yes,
and we had just a really.
It was a beautiful restaurant called Ginori. And the pasta was fantastic. But that restaurant was gorgeous. They have this massive wine selection that was just displayed so beautifully. We have some videos here that we're going to show you. And it was just, everyone was so nice. Again, just so kind.
Well, tell me about the music that they were playing there, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Tell me the music.
It was old school country music. It was so funny to walk in there and hear that. We're both like, do you hear that?
Now I am a huge fan of old school country music.
Yes, he is.
And for me, when I say old school, we're going pre-Garth Brooks days, okay? That's how old. So Marnie may think it's ancient, but I was like, is that Willie Nelson? Yes. Is that and it's so in contrast to this Italian restaurant with the brick walls and the wine
classical music,
right?
and all that.
Yes. Some Pavarotti or something like that. And then also I became very interested in a Italian soap opera that was playing on the other one, and I'm
wait, hang on, I'm watching this.
Yeah, and so but it was just a really, really cool time out.
It was so nice. And when you dine in Italy, it's such a relaxed feeling. Like there's no rush. They don't come over to your table a million times trying to check on you if you need anything. You just kind of, wave to them. And I guess they just relax more at mealtime than Americans do.
There's not like a tipping culture like there is
No,
here.
no. And I think that's a huge part of it.
But, I call it, I would have spent a tip anyway. I call it not a tip, but truly a gratitude for the way that they did that. And, there's been times when they say, well, that's too much. And I'm like, no, enjoy this.
Yes.
There was something else at that restaurant. I'm trying to think, just the ambiance and the wait staff was awesome.
Fantastic. Yes.
And like Marnie
Which is because don't get me wrong, young people are amazing, but it's unusual for an entire staff of young people to be to love their job as much as they seem to love it.
And that's one thing that in America, oftentimes being in the service industry,
we see a lot of it here, especially.
We see it as, those are people that it's a stepping stone to something else.
Yes.
Well, in many of those cultures, that's
a career.
That's their career. They're happy to do it. And
they take it very seriously.
And, in Italy, something to always note is they eat dinner later, okay?
Yes, much later.
So sometimes 8 to 9 to 10. So,
yes.
You have these restaurants that are still serving dinner at 9 and 10 in the evening.
Yeah.
And that was something to note. And the other thing is a lot of people, and I found this in my travels in Europe specifically, their culture is when people sit down, it is an experience.
100%.
And they do not, like Marnie said earlier, come in and keep interrupting you in your conversation because they're trying to make a tip. So, so if they don't come back and fill your water, if they don't come back and do this, don't think that they're being rude or it's bad
not
service.
At all.
That's just not part of their culture. So if you need something, you just, kind of wave your hand and they'll come over and it's like, hey, can I get some more water or can I get my bill?
And they're more than happy to help with anything. I don't know. It's so much more relaxed and maybe family style is the word I'm looking for, or I don't know.
Do you want to tell them the new rule that I made while eating out about we're not going to be the next people to leave?
Yes.
Yes. We sat there and, in this particular one, we sat and we ate everything and
we sat there probably a good 15
right
extra minutes,
just and yet that's
talking
and
relaxing.
And that's the thing that 15 minutes to get the order in, 15 minutes to eat, and then 15 minutes of talking, and we're still the first group of people to leave.
Yes.
And so I said, nope, from here on out, we're going to come in and there's going to be somebody that's going to leave before we do, just because relax, and again, it's always about, you'll eat all these meals, you'll eat meals. We had dinner tonight, but as good as it was, 10 years from now, I'm not going to remember that meal, but I will always remember that meal.
Yes, because when you force yourself to relax and enjoy it, it's amazing you just start talking. Your whole body relaxes, your mind relaxes, and you get to kind of reset. It's not, we're so rush all the time as teachers and just Americans in general that we don't take the time to enjoy these things. Enjoy a meal.
The only thing in Italy that I've ever seen is rush is the drivers. Okay,
No. The people walking.
Yeah. Oh, they will get out of the road very quickly.
They walk very fast in Italy. Their pace is much faster than mine.
And we'll talk about Italian walk time later.
Yes.
But if you're traveling to Florence, man, we've got some recommendations for hotels. We got a recommendation and we're going to share some more restaurants.
And we'll share some links and things to some of the places we went. So if you want to check them out, you can check them out too. Now, we did have a surprise after dinner that night. We walked out of the restaurant and turned a corner, and there was the Medici
Chapel.
Chapel, yeah.
Right, and I'm
like,
I'm looking and I'm like, well, that's not the Duomo. And I said,
because it's a very large building.
It's a very big building. And so, again, one of the things, as much as I love history and I love traveling, I love to read, anytime you go somewhere and you're truly just exploring, it will humble you about
Yes.
anything you know.
And let me tell you, we didn't, as long as we stayed there, we didn't have enough time to even hit the tip of the iceberg for seeing things in Florence. There is so much.
My nephew gave us a book called The Top 10 of Everything, and I was looking at it and I said, man, surely we did everything. I'm like, oh, crap, Marnie, we missed this,
We
this,
missed
and this.
this.
Hey, we missed this. We didn't even go see this.
And we're like, wait, that's there?
And
Yeah.
you know, you have to understand, for me, I've been to Florence, 10 times at least.
Yeah.
And, and it's just so fun to just walk around.
It is. And it's such a beautiful city to just explore.
And we're going to talk about some of our kind of cool finds that, we didn't
Yeah.
know this, or we're looking for this, and we take the wrong turn and find something
else.
really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's so amazing. Now, one thing I do want to talk about real quick. I think our first day, we got there at 3 or 4 in the afternoon we landed. I think we had the most perfect first day to get acclimated
Right.
that I've ever experienced.
That's one of the things that if you do your individual, your own kind of tour, you put it together. That's one thing,
Yeah.
you've got time to relax. If you don't want to go out the next day, you don't have to go out the next day.
Right.
Now other tours, it's really, really, you hit the ground running. Now I will say this, I've traveled with students numerous times, and there's a lot for teachers. That is a very cool way and cheap way to go. You get
Yes,
so many
it is.
students to sign up, and then they take you for free and you help them out. But understand, mostly on those tours for kids, you're going to hit the airport, and Marnie,
Hit the ground running.
Her first experience internationally was one of those tours, and not
I don't even remember the first day.
and not that the tour wasn't cool and we
No.
didn't see a lot of stuff,
No.
but you get jet lag.
My
you're
body
super-
just needed more time to adjust.
and and that's one of the things. Kids tend to be a little more resilient than adults.
But even
almost.
they
Right.
weren't, even the kids that were
Right.
with us were like, this, I don't even remember what we did. It's
Right.
just too much that first day.
And that's the thing. So, if you have a day, and I will say that with other tours, that's primarily adults, they gave me that when I went to Egypt and went to Peru and into Israel,
Mm-hmm.
that first day, they are like, all right, we get from the airport, we're going to go, we're going to eat dinner, we're going to have a conversation about what's going on, and we're going to get started tomorrow.
And do
Right.
go out and walk around,
Right.
but don't give yourself an itinerary
Right.
other than, hey, I'm going to go find some food,
Right.
And sit down and relax a little bit, because the walking and the fresh air does help combat that jet
Right.
lag
Right.
some, and that little bit of time spent out in the time zone that
Right.
you're going to be in makes a huge difference. But you just don't need to pack it full of things to do that first day. I personally don't think. I think
agree.
it fits us better.
I
not
agree with
to.
you. I think it was, because if we had come and hit the ground running, then I think the next day or the day after it would have caught up with us. And,
Yes.
this is one of the first times, had a little headache here and there, but I wasn't sick.
You usually get dehydrated on a plane, though, and that usually affects you.
And I actually made efforts this time to take my big bottles of water to make sure that
That's
didn't happen. So
a
that
big
definitely
tip. Make sure you really hydrate when you fly. It is very important, because it will make you feel tired. It will give you a headache. Just make sure you drink enough. Maybe even take some of the little packets of drink mix, especially those that have electrolytes in them, because it can be a game changer in your trip.
And that's the thing. You want to stay hydrated. You want to stay. You never want to be somewhere and be miserable. Okay.
No.
And that I've had those trips where I've had a migraine on a trip, and it
Yes.
I sat in the back, or laid in the back of the bus sick the whole time, and there was stuff I opened my eyes. Yeah, I got to see it and check it off the bucket list, but I didn't get to enjoy it. So.
Right. And I have to say, we walked a lot. We walked a whole lot.
We were averaging about 9 to 10 miles a day.
The minimum was 7.
Yep.
The minimum was 7, and it never felt like it.
Yeah.
It never felt well.
Oh, never? Never?
Once,
Never?
but it didn't feel like the full 9+ miles.
Right.
It was just that one little section, but it was totally worth it. But it never felt like we were walking that much, and I think it's because everything is so close together there that we would see something, kind of walk around, explore, and then we would move on to something else that was just a little ways away.
And stuff is just so scenic that there's a difference.
It's distracting.
Yeah,
like you don't feel like, oh, I'm trudging up a hill, or you know.
You're looking at this panoramic view, or you're looking at this massive cathedral, and you don't realize that you've walked 4 or 5 blocks.
Yeah.
You know? So it's
absolutely. It's just it's distracting to be around all that, but in a good way, you know, because it's just one thing after another.
And you know, so that was kind of day one. I know that was
Yes.
a lot of information. We've got a lot coming up. We've got a couple days worth of road trips we're going to talk
Yes.
about. We've got, you know, museums we're going to see. We're going to have a section on things that, oh, I didn't know that, or we
Yeah.
found this, and there was 2 or 3 things that, as many times as I've been, I was like, I didn't know that, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
But
We're already like, okay, next time we go back, this is what we're doing.
and there were even just some funny things that
Oh, yeah.
that we would say, or I would say, or maybe our tour guide would say, and we're going to share some of those with you as well.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We love talking travel, and we want to hear where you've been. Chime in, drop us a comment. Tell us if you want to go to Florence, or if you've been, or where you've been lately. We want to hear about everybody's travel. So remember, also follow us on socials. We're on all the different socials: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're there. We have a website, broketeacherstravel.com.
Oh, we need to give a shout out to some people that are traveling tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
My brother and
Yes,
his
and
family.
his family.
And they have a really cool international trip.
Yes, they do.
They're traveling from Florida to Chile, and then
Uh-huh.
taking a cruise ship to Antarctica.
Which is so cool.
And so I was talking to my sister-in-law, and I said, you know, I'm so jealous that you guys are getting to go there. I've never been there. And she says, oh, yeah, like we weren't jealous when you were crawling around in the pyramids, or when you and Marnie were doing this. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But, you know, the difference is my brother, his wife,
And their 3 kids.
the 3 kids, who are all fairly young.
Yes.
But I tell you, they are troopers. They're enjoying this. And so, you know, that's a whole different story. And maybe we'll have them on there one day
Yes.
talking about how to travel with young
They need
kids.
to share some of their adventures with us, because they've done some really cool ones.
Really, they actually have. So anyway, I know that was a lot, guys, and
Remember, break the monotony.
not the bank.
Bye, guys.
Great to be back.